This is Hoops Forum, a production of Radius Athletics and a quick timeout podcast. I'm Tony Miller, and I'm joined once again this week by my co-host Randy Sherman. Before we get into things, thanks to our sponsors over at 323 Sports. With camp season right around the corner, you may be in need of t-shirts, basketballs, or other equipment. Whatever it is, 323 Sports has what you need at great prices. I've used them before, years using 323 Sports with my camps, and you won't regret ordering from these guys. To find out more about what they can do for your program, visit 323sports.com, or you can contact a rep at sales@323sports.com. They'll be sure to do it right for your summer camp. We're currently finishing the first round of the NBA playoffs, and so today this is our 2022 NBA playoff edition of Hoops Forum. Randy, I know this doesn't necessarily carry the weight of like March Madness for a lot of coaches, but you still get into the NBA playoffs?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anything in particular that you enjoy about them? Maybe even comparative to like March Madness?
Well, I think what the main thing I enjoy is sort of in the NBA, kind of noting the sort of differences in the regular season versus playoffs. I'd say the game-to-game adjustments can kind of be fun to watch, and just sort of matchups, things like that. All the way that to me it gets real intriguing. So that's what I look for. And then the big moments, kind of more as a fan, just sort of like Game 7, or it's 2-2 tie, it's Game 5, and like the big moments, it's just so fun to watch, just sort of how those are handled by coaches and players. So yeah.
Any big takeaways from like first round?
My big takeaway is how some teams have managed to play and survive through some injuries. The Mavericks advanced and won a game or two without Luka. Devin Booker missed some time, and the Suns advanced. So like that's always interesting to me, to kind of see how coaches and teams can withstand the loss of a player in like a really pivotal part of the season. That stood out to me, just how some teams who you look at, they don't have Devin Booker, like that could be tough, or Luka's out, but then they advanced anyway. So that's what stands out to me so far. Like who's getting who back healthy and is going to kind of be able to be at full strength and survive this thing.
Yeah, we hadn't talked about this beforehand. Mine was kind of the same, maybe a little bit in relationship to, I hear a lot with Golden State, Boston, playing teams that they're either missing stars, or with the Nets, maybe a dysfunctional group they were a little bit by the end of the year.
Yeah.
But those two teams in particular, I'm not saying that they aren't necessarily as good or worthy of that finals talk, but I just wonder how good they actually are.
Yeah,
because they won some games and we're playing against or against some teams, some scenarios there that you're not on paper maybe like, man, they beat a really good team, but did they for four games?
Yeah, I think sometimes some of these teams like maybe undervalue the regular season and are like as long as we get in the playoffs and we can sit guys out, we can, he's not playing half our games, it's okay, it's no big deal, we get in the tournament, we'll get serious then. Sometimes I think like that's a little too late to try to turn the light switch on. Like the big deal was about Brooklyn losing was like everyone wanted to make bigger, more complicated explanations. They were an average team. Even when Durant and Kyrie played during the regular season, I think they were like one game above 500. They were an average team, and they got dealt with accordingly by a really good Boston team. That's it.
Right.
I know they have Kevin Durant. I know they have Kyrie Irving. Why they were an average team, I don't know, but they were.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes like maybe this like, our seeding doesn't matter as long as we get in the top 8 or get out of that play in and get in the top 6 or something, like it's all good. We'll turn it on then. Like, I don't know about that. Like you kind of need to already be good to be good. Right.
Well, I would rather have the at least crescendoing, they're getting better. And I think people
Nice
saw that
word.
with Boston rather than what you just said, lights on, lights off. I personally have never seen that before, at least from my
Neither have I.
teams. It's
Neither
the
have I.
teams that are improving and getting back. And for the case of Boston too, they were already getting better. And then they got Williams back, and now you're adding another piece to it. Like, I would much rather have that kind of thing than expecting somebody to turn it on. And to your point, I think that Kevin Durant attempted to kind of carry the load and help the team turn it on, but unless you've got multiple guys, it wasn't having it. So we'll come back.
Go ahead.
I think
too that, like, sorry, I think it shows like maybe like that mindset of we'll turn it on in the playoffs, sort of like an overvaluing of just the raw talent and an undervaluing of like team, cohesiveness and like identity and having it figured out. Like that's as good as a star player, that's or better, right? So
yeah, that's a good point. We'll come back and make some picks here at the end, but right now, going to talk about some X's and O's. We're just going to I'm going to bring up just 4 X's and O's for you. And so Randy hasn't seen these yet. We're going to basically show Randy what these are, and then we're going to kind of talk through them a little bit, maybe why he likes them, why he doesn't like them, maybe. But we'll break these down. These are available too if you're interested in looking at these on Fast Model. We'll make those available there. You can find those at fastmodelsports.com in their play bank. You can download those to your Fast Draw account. So first one here, let me go ahead and show it to you first. First one here is from the New Orleans Pelicans.
All right. Horns, stagger, burn. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like that one. You got the thing I like about it is the playing the other way when number 5 gets the ball here. They got the staggered screen going on over here that lends the defense to perhaps believing we're playing that way, but we're really going to play the other way over here. And great read by number 14. I don't know my personnel as well as I should on the Pelicans. Who is
Brandon
that?
Ingram.
Okay, Ingram. Yeah. Ingram on the great read on Crowder's overplay to back cut it on the playing the other way. That's lovely. And then any potential helper at the rim's kind of involved in that staggered action, so that you maybe are going to get to the rim without any shot blocker being there. We'll see.
You've got that's good design. Yeah, I mean, starts with great spacing, the multiple action of stagger screen on this side of the floor, dribble handoff coming this way. I can't remember where I either wrote recently an article about the burn action, or I can't remember where. I don't know if we talked about it here or another podcast, but I love the handoff because it typically draws, either the defender tries to jump the screen or just draws him to the ball so that he can kind of junk up that dribble handoff on this side of the floor. And that's a great opportunity for you to kind of back cut a guy. They're an opportunity. And with the stagger screen, the low man is helping. So he's occupied on that side of the floor, kind of paying attention to what's going on over here. So he's not in a position to help. And that's where you get the late rotation, and still a nice contest from Ayton, but it's a little bit too late there. So
So another thing that I see potentially there, if you'll play it again, would be let's say Crowder didn't overplay Ingram, and as a result he didn't reject, he could come over the top and take the handoff. Or if let's say Crowder defended the back cut well, and number 5, is that Herb?
I think it is.
Okay. He could, right there where you've got it paused, let's say Crowder did a great job. He could turn back and play to that. So he could pivot back and play to the guy coming off the double stagger. And we could probably get into like, the second screener turn and ball screen for him or something like that. And we would look like double side over there, single side if Herb, I think, who has the ball, gets to the corner. Yeah. So we got to be able to play out of it if they defend this. We don't always burn them for a backdoor cut layup like we do here, right?
Right. The ability for it to continue on too. I think sometimes we design our plays and like if it didn't work, like, oh man, we got to start over again. But to your point, you can keep playing out of the stagger. They could have been a pick and roll, and Herb Williams could have rolled to the front of the rim and he throw it over the top.
Yeah.
So there you have the capability of multiple things to happen if the defense takes away this, which is to
Yeah.
what you said in the introduction. This is why I love the NBA playoffs, is because this is a chess match. But I think the great offensive coaches have the counters that they're not having to just make stuff up or go ISO if their first action doesn't happen.
Yeah, we don't want hope to be a strategy. We don't hope that the backdoor cut comes open. If it does, great. If it doesn't, we get to the next best action.
Right.
That could be any number of things, like hitting the guy coming off the stagger, or something like that. Yeah, good one. I like it. Love it.
All right. So I've got a theme with these first two plays.
Okay.
Let's see if.
All right. Spain. See that? Like it. Another overplay there. So we okay, I see. Bridges goes to the corner to get. Now we've got the corners filled after that when he made that little cut out of the horns formation.
So again, you have the first thing that you look at is the Spain. So the first thing that you have is the ball screen, screening the screener behind it, which draws. Typically, this is where your help is going to come from because he was the lowest man. I don't think that this guy's really thinking of himself when the play is first happening as being the help, because a lot of times you also have the screen that comes on this side.
Yeah.
So when Paul comes off, he's actually strong side and they want to be, 70-30 over on this side of the floor taken away. So he's not thinking, I need to be in a position to help. This guy's in the position to help. They flip it. This guy's caught too high. And now you're basically leaving this entire space underneath the floor with no help defender because he's really worried about, I don't know what their strategy was, if they were going to switch it or just kind of like jam it and help him get over it.
Yeah.
But the point is, there's nobody there.
And another point, I think, is that Booker at the free throw line sitting the screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So another concept I like is using a good shooter to set a back screen, because you're not going to get the show off of him, because all he would do then is just pop off of that Spain back screen to this kind of area, over kind of just pop away from that back screen. If you show off of him, that's going in. They're going to find him off of that. Paul would throw it back to him popping. So you do potentially get Ayton on the lob because they're not going to show or hedge off of Devin Booker, because he would just separate from the screen and beat you that way. So I like that design. Yeah.
So misdirection, and then also multiple actions that occupy help defenders. And then also, if this doesn't work out, to your point, you could still play out of the Spain action or ball screen and throw it lob to the front of the rim to Ayton there. So
yeah,
multiple scoring actions out of one. All right, third play here is from third play
Memphis.
here. Go and throw it up here. But third play here is from Memphis and Minnesota. And this one's Memphis.
Okay. So it's a sideline out of bounds.
I know, I get it. Bad defense. That's the first thing people are going to say, but still.
Well, there's 3.7 seconds left.
Right.
So, yeah, they probably may wish they defended Morant a little different, not as gambled as much on him, but
you still have a shooter that comes to the corner, and I know that's kind of like standard. Nothing special about that. But then when you have the down screen here, you say, well, they played it bad. He shouldn't have jumped on the high side. I think either way, Morant is going to get the ball somehow. And when he gets the ball, the thing that I like about it is now you have, even if he's kind of a great defender that's trailing this way, Morant is still catching the ball and going to his left, which he's strong at, even though he's a right-handed player.
Yeah.
Which is
we've got a 3-on-2 where you've got it paused right now. So 3-on-2 is a layup. In NBA, 2-on-1, 3-on-2, that's a layup every time. So or a dunk, which I think is probably what's coming here, right?
Right. So it's either, if he steps over and stops Morant, then he can dump it off or throw it over the top for a finish. So to your point, you have the 3-on-2 on the backside.
You really got a 2-on-1, to be honest, with Morant and the big and the dunker there, where there's just no good decision. He's got too many the lone defender has too many options to consider. Do I help? Do I, they're in trouble. But it was kind of started with maybe a defensive mistake or a maybe. I mean, I get we're trying to get the ball. Keep the ball out of his hands. It's a tie game, 3.7 seconds. Like, we got to keep it out of his hands. But that was.
I'm still saying this guy's still going to trail. It doesn't matter if he's playing great defense or he doesn't. You say, well, he'll trail and then he'll jump down in front of Morant. Okay, that's fine, but Morant is still catching the ball and has great speed because he's the one coming at the ball and catching it. I don't think that you get totally in front of him, so he's at least got a small advantage, which is going to make the big defender decide, do I want to step over and help a little bit, or do I want to take my chances and let my guy play one-on-one and one of the better finishers around the rim with both hands?
I think the lesson here is just like the big macro lesson I would take away is just how great players just create dilemmas where it's like, well, we got to really kind of choose between two bad things. Like we got to, if we get aggressive, this is what that's the benefit of having great players, is like there's just sometimes it's like the lesser of two evils is your only choice, right?
Right. All right, fourth and final play here. So same two teams, but switch it around. This one's from Minnesota.
Okay. So another sideline play. Oh yeah. I like it. Really good. Okay, I like it. So we've got throw and go, where basically the inbounder throws to Carl Anthony Towns there, kind of T-posted perimeter post up, and he comes right back in and takes it, drives the space, and we flare. Yeah, that's nice. Timing matters.
Right.
The timing really matters. Like, we don't want that flare to be too soon. We've got to kind of time it with the arrival of the dribble. That's a good motion offense concept. Like, the ball needs to see the action. So that guy who's setting that flare screen, needs to sort of like time it where that screen, it happens in concert with the throw and go. So if it happens too soon, we're going to need a rescreen, or they've already kind of defended or sorted through it. But yeah, that's good. But, honestly, Memphis didn't defend it that poorly. He got a good contest. They screen Morant. I think that's Clark who closes it out, gets in the air with him. It's hit a tough shot.
I like the beginning of it because you have Russell, I believe, is kind of setting a back screen. Like, that's not the intent of it, but it at least forces Clark to, kind of scramble a little bit and be concerned with that. And then you also have, to your point, bringing Morant to this side. He still is paying attention to the ball, but he's not paying attention to what might be coming on the backside, and neither is Clark, which I think is the kind of gives that like pause there, which allows the flare screen to be open. And again, you're playing with incredible athletes that are still able to close out, and there's a great contest at the end. So maybe at your level, lesser levels, lower levels, you may have even more of a shot. I don't care what level it is. I feel like flare screens are one of, if not the most difficult thing for defenses to guard, especially if you do something right before it that draws the defense's attention to the ball. They're caught off guard. You can still communicate it great, and obviously a great shot at the end, but
good stuff.
Yeah, the handoff.
Like, I like, just generally speaking too, how the sideline out of bounds just sort of connects right into a scoring option. It's just more than just getting the ball in. It's like, a time scoring situation as it is, they need a look. They don't need get it inbound arranged for a play. They need this is it. You know what I mean? Like, this is it.
Right. So 4 plays. I hope those were, I know 3 of them were probably, third of them at least. But we'll put all 4 of those on the Fast Model website. So again, you can go download those if you want. All right, so finish things out here, Randy. Got a playoff bracket here in front of you.
Nice.
Still have one more game left in the 2-7 matchup with Memphis and Minnesota. That needs to be determined, but the rest of them are set. So made it past the first round, down to the second round. So I will ask you, who are your conference final picks for both the Eastern and the Western Conference?
We'll start with the East since it's set. Is that okay?
For sure.
I like the Heat over the Sixers. I just think the Heat are no one talks. They don't get talked about enough, like because they're just boring good, right? Like they just go and play good. They're the number one seed, and like everyone wants to talk about Brooklyn or the Celtics who are playing great, but like the Heat just do their thing, kind of like the old Spurs. They just win, right? So we'll see. But I'd like them to get past the Sixers. Give me Boston over Milwaukee. So I'd say on the East, Heat, Heat, and the Celtics. The West, I'm a Mavericks fan, but I'm not going to let my fandom get in the way of objective analysis. I live in Dallas, lived here a really long time, and from Texas, so my Mavs are my team. Love to see him pull this off, but don't think they will. But I'll be hoping that I'm wrong. I'll be okay with being wrong if I'm wrong, but I'll give me Phoenix and Golden State, and boy, that'll be juicy.
I can't disagree with you. I wanted to come on here with like a first take, argue with you, but I think from the Eastern Conference side, when you have stars that are hurt to the point that we made earlier, but I just don't know what I'm going to get out of Embiid, and with Middleton most likely not playing for that series as well, those two teams, Eric Spoelstra seems sometimes is still like an underrated coach, and I'm not sure why. He's won Coach of the Year and won championships and that kind of thing, but
yeah.
So I'm the same on that side, and then I'm also on the same on the Western Conference side. I think the experience of both of those teams, recent experience, this Golden State Warriors, for all them being fun, they're still just a veteran team that just makes the right reads and the right plays. And I don't know that Memphis or Minnesota will be able to, just being so young, be able to keep them from doing what they want to do.
Yeah, Golden State just seems to kind of have a knack for finding some good young, like Poole is playing really good for them, and right. Gary Payton the third or junior, I think is he's been excellent. It's like find some good pieces in their core with Draymond, Clay, and Steph is always going to be great, but like those complementary pieces seem to kind of have a little bit of churn to them, but they find good ones, and it's easy to be good on that team if I think Golden State takes care of whoever comes out of Memphis and Minnesota. That's my picks. Are we going further?
Yeah, we'll go further, but I always feel like it's extremely difficult. You can feel like you have a great sense of this team is going to, and then the next round starts, and without having seen any of those two teams play each other yet in the playoffs, we'll go ahead and take a stab at it. Who you got in the finals?
Give me Golden State and Boston. I think I would take those two, but not easy. I don't, as much as I hope I'm wrong, I don't think the Mavs have much for Phoenix if they're fully healthy. I hope I'm wrong because that's my heart, right? But I think Miami and Boston will be just a brawl, 7-game, just brawl. And give me Boston. Just think Boston and Golden State is who's going to get there. Am I picking a winner too?
Yeah, go for it.
Boston.
We should have talked about this beforehand. That way I could have gotten a contrary argument to go against it. I do feel like Phoenix can win, but I'm always concerned about like the health of Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and really DeAndre Ayton. And one of those pieces missing could definitely change. But all three being there could make it a very easy road back to where they were last year. And to your point, with Boston, we talked about just the continuing to improve, but then also the way that Jason Tatum is playing. Marcus Smart always seems to make plays when this team needs him to make plays. And
they just seem to have an it factor to their team right now. Like that's hard to they have a star in Tatum, and Jaylen Brown's also could be described that way as well. But more than that, they just seem to have an it factor right now that I really like. So I'm gonna keep riding with them until they've looked the most impressive they swept first round sweep. They look the part. So I'm gonna ride with them.
Yeah. I know a lot of coaches aren't necessarily NBA fans, big NBA fans. I personally enjoy it for the reasons that you mentioned at the beginning there. You know, I think they're masterful at manipulating space, at forcing mismatches, at creating advantages. And then to see the adjustments that are made by teams from game to game to try to
Yeah.
neutralize those things is really fun to watch too. So I'm excited about the next few weeks.
And the defense steps up in the playoffs, whereas I do think, maybe some teams like kind of only get interested in the regular season and the defense in the fourth quarter or something like that. Like,
Right.
but like the defense really steps up in terms of intensity. They sort of like start to disallow things that maybe they were okay with during the regular season, and the defense really steps up quite a lot and you get to see just how good these players are because they've got guys just getting after them and they still can make plays. So yeah,
Yeah. Should be an
I'm
exciting, fun
excited.
couple of weeks. Yep.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope my Mavericks kind of keep skating through and surprising people, but we'll see.
Do you think they're better or just different without Porzingis?
I think they got better.
Hmm.
Um, I think they got better when that trade happened.
Seemed like it allowed for several of the other guys to kind of blossom.
It did, and I just don't think it ever worked between Luca and him, and that's who's going to be the Mavs centerpiece, like it or not. Like if that's just how it's going to be. And I'm good with Luca. I think they've got better. They've put a more complementary team around him than maybe they had before. Jason Kidd has exceeded my expectations just
Mm.
based on his head coaching time before is all I really have to go by that I thought wasn't that impressive. Maybe during the time he was away from being a head coach, he improved and learned more, which is awesome. And I'm happy for him and happy that the Mavericks are where they are. Yeah, he's been good. I would say that was an upgrade over Carlisle that I wasn't thinking it was at the time necessarily, but it certainly looks like it is now.
Yeah. Maybe Randy's Mavs can pull the upset over the
We'll see.
Suns. Thanks to all of you who joined us this week. If you missed any part of the live show, you can go back and watch or listen to any part. Visit Radius Athletics on YouTube to see the full interviews, or you can go to any podcast platform and now search Hoops Forum. We've got our own
Yeah.
podcast there. You can see all of the episodes, all 50 plus, and we'll be releasing these each week. You can find them on the weekends. Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk to you again next time.